Hey guys, I'm gonna do something completely different here. I am going to, since the recent episode, or the recent season of Supernatural has ended, which is season 14, and the next season is gonna be its last, which is season 15, I thought, I might as well just go ahead and, rank, my personal picks of the worst to best season of Supernatural because, I asked if you either wanted a video about this or just do the 150th sub video. And I'm working on that, but I want to know which one I would do first. So, according to two votes, it's gonna be another Supernatural vlog like I did last time. So, this isn't going to reflect anybody else's. This is my personal picks, and I will hopefully get you into thinking about how I get into it, and hopefully, I just want to get my opinions on the worst to best seasons of because they are my personal opinion, and you will respect my opinion, or I'm gonna kill you. Now, coming in dead last for this is season 9 of Supernatural. Now, I think I said this about in my last Supernatural vlog. Um, I thought when I looked at the DVD while I was watching, I don't know, around season 6 or 7, or earlier than that, around that, I hadn't got to season 9, and when I saw the DVD cover of it, I thought this is going to be somewhat epic. This is going to be an epic thing I'm going to be watching. And then I finally watched it, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst of the season. Now, the entire series, and I'm even including that, after watching all the seasons, I'm pretty sure, no, season 9 is the worst season, in my opinion. Now, for those of you who don't know, season 9 pretty much picked up what happened in season 8, where all the angels have been cast out of heaven because of Metatron getting back, which is Metatron, like, yeah, pretty much like a live action version of Dan versus Heaven, and Dan won. So yeah, so all the angels have been cast out of heaven. Their powers have been pretty much stripped off, as I remember, and because of the trials that Sam Winchester went through, he is pretty much in the hospital and he's in a coma and he's about to die. But Dean won't let him, so he has another angel take over his body so he could actually be healed. Um, and meanwhile, Castiel is trying to figure out how to be human, which was actually addressed in another season. I mean, this time he doesn't have any of it. This time he doesn't have powers, so at least they went a little bit farther for that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The reason why I think this is the worst season of the show is because it it relies on too much filler. Now, the series always had a kind of a story arc, and it always had monsters of the week, but at the same time, it was pretty much the story arc of each season actually is connected no matter what. Either whether or not it is a breather episode or a monster of the week episode, it always was connected. Like the story arc was always connected somewhat within that, and it always took its time, but never to the point where it just stops dead. It never stopped dead, or most of the time it never stopped dead with each season. Season 9 did not do that very well. Season 9 actually had problems. Like I found out later that actor Jensen Ackles flat out said the writers didn't have a clear arc to the plot to the season, and they were just throwing out ideas and seeing what they and just threw out what stuck. Like threw out ideas and saw what stuck, and that was pretty much a worry. And you could kind of tell by that because after season 7, it went from 22 episodes a season to 23, and season 9 really struggled with that. Because I understand there are breather episodes in Supernatural because the show can get really dark and you just need something light. However, you cannot have a breather episode You cannot have two breather episodes in a row, especially near the beginning of the season. Like, usually breather episodes are pretty much what? Eight episodes, 9 episodes tops. I mean, there was season 11, but we're gonna get to that later. You can't have two breather episodes in a row. You can't have that because the season has barely started. There is already what? It's 5 or 6 episodes in. I don't even get the feeling of intensity, other than like, when is the other brother gonna find out that? When is the brother gonna find out the other brother has lied to him? Because it's like, okay, the fallout's gonna happen. There's gonna be fallout, and it's like, okay, when is this going to happen? When's it going to happen? It's like, oh, it's happening. Then now you're not going to talk anymore, and it happens. Like season 9 happens. Like, oh, Sam Winchester finally finds out that Dean had an angel in his body to like go for it. Uh, had an angel's body to actually heal his body, and they're not talking. And it's like, okay, when are they not going to stop talking? And that's the problem. Like here's the thing: the past few seasons, like at first there was an argument with the brother, and like the line could be like a little bit whatever, but season 9 took that like and ran with it, because like Dean pretty much lied in order to like get his brother healed up, and he could have died, and it's like, yeah, he could have just let Sam die, just go into the afterworld or afterlife. It's like, yeah, that's why in the season premiere Bobby was one of his visions in the car, or like apparitions or whatever, because like Bobby flat out says, okay, in season 7, okay, if it's your time to go, go. And Dean doesn't want to let go of that. Sam was willing to die. And then it's like, okay, Dean's like, okay, let's go. And it's like, okay, fine. Then they go back, and then like Dean's like lying to him, and it's like whatever. And it eventually catches up to him, like increasingly implausible lies. And Sam calls him out on it. And then eventually, when the lies reveal, it's like, I'm not talking to you. And then when Kevin comes back, it's like, hey, you guys are the only people you have together. And then when he leaves with his mom, it's like Dean turns to Sam, and then Sam walks away, and it's like, well, great. So there is no lesson here. There is absolutely no lesson, just lies upon lies. And on top of that, like, I remember somebody flat out, like, watching season 9, I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be good. This is not gonna be good. This is not gonna be good for them, because, like, okay, fine. You're gonna watch season 9? I should have just flat out just said, okay, if you're at season 9, just tell me so I can give you a list of episodes you can watch. Basically, you can watch at least 10 episodes. Just watch, because you don't really care. You start not to care for the brothers, because both brothers have become dicks, and to the point where even Cass, like, is the most, because he is turning to the brothers to whatever is going on, but they're just treating each other like jerks, and they're just being assholes, and like it's got to the point where I just didn't care about the Winchesters, because they've been just such assholes, and they've been lying to each other and just so angry at each other, and like, this thing has been done so many times in the past. It's like, okay, could you just at least stop? Could you just stop and get along with it? It got to the point where when the reveal, spoilers for this video, spoilers, I forgot to mention there are spoilers in this crap. I'll just put that in the description. When it got to the season finale of season 9, I just didn't care. When Dean turned into a demon, I'm like, okay, I don't care, because he's been an asshole pretty much the entire season, so I shouldn't care anymore. I don't even care. So yeah, but yeah, that's why season 9 is pretty much the worst season so far. The second worst season of the show is season 7. It's not as bad as season 9, but it's pretty much one of the most. It's bad because it's boring. It's uninteresting. Now, for those of you who don't know, season 7 is the Leviathan season, which is pretty much boring. It's pretty much like the most boring season of Supernatural, in my opinion. Now, as far like season 7 picks off where season 6 left off. You know, Cass declares himself a new god, and at first, like, at first it's actually a pretty damn good start. Like, I can watch the season 7 premiere anytime. Like, anytime I can watch it. Like, because it's actually really interesting. Cass is the new god. Crowley is doing shit. Um, like they were pretty much working together at one point, and then it's like, oh, things are going shit. Things are going sideways, and they have to wrangle Death to kill Cass. Like, the Winchesters and Bobby have to wrangle Death to like get Cass and kill him, and it's actually really intense. And the first episode is really good, and then the moment in the second episode where Cass disappears into that water, the boredom pretty much sets in immediately. Like, it's just immediate. And then Crowley is gone, and then nothing happens. And then the Leviathan come along, and it's like, what happens if, like, the Cass and Crowley, there could have been a conflict between them, and it's like, oh, it's just gonna drop it for Leviathans? I mean, they're dangerous, don't get me wrong, it's just that they're not that interesting. And then it just becomes boring. Now, this is the first episode. No, this is the first season where it went from 22 episodes, with the exception of season 3, to 23 episodes. And you can kind of feel it. Like, you can kind of feel the boredom seeping in. Like, there were long stretches of nothing happening, just random monsters of the week. And again, it's boring. And without Cass or Crowley, it's just got boring. With the exception of Bobby's death, which was tear-jerkering. Bobby as a ghost was I thought that kind of went against this character a little bit, but yeah, I didn't really care all that much. But the thing was, it's more like again, his character, like, I thought he was a no nonsense guy, but it's like, oh, he wants to keep fighting even though it's dangerous for him to be a ghost, and he's going to be having a lot of unrest. It's like, okay, yeah, fine, then go ahead and do that. But the problem was, like, without Cass or Crowley or even Bobby, it just got dull, like, really dull. And here's the thing: before season 4, where Cass came along, it ventured around the brothers and whatnot, and that was interesting. Those seasons were very, very interesting and well put together. But because there was nothing happening with the story arc, even though there was a story arc with the Leviathans, it was more like, okay, Leviathans are coming, don't worry, come on, don't worry, the Leviathans are coming, just give us a moment to figure out what to do with us. Meanwhile, here are some monsters of the week. And that was fun in the first 3 seasons, but it just got dull in season 7 because there was a clear story arc, but nothing was happening. And the big bad was not interesting, just a lot of Dick Roman jokes. It's like, oh, he's just a bag of dicks, or dick joke, dick joke, dick joke. And it just got really tiring after a while. And I'm like, okay, this is just pointless. But then eventually it stopped getting boring when Cass finally came along, and it's like, okay, this is fine. And then Crowley came. Well, the moment when Crowley came back in one of the episodes, it's like, okay, this, like, at least there was like a flat line and then a pulse, because he was back, and I was like, finally, some freaking energy to this. And then Cass came back, and it's like, okay, this is actually a little bit better. And then the Leviathans came along and actually had a bit of a story arc. It's like, okay, you're figuring it out. That's fine. That's fun. You're at least. Here's the thing: season 7 is the second worst season, in my opinion, because it was boring through most of it, with the exception of when the first episode, when Bobby was shot and killed, and the last 5 episodes, because at least in the last 5 episodes, it ramped up the energy a little bit. But aside from that, there was not much. There wasn't much to it. There wasn't actually much to season 7. I mean, again, it got better towards the end. Leviathans got better. Cass became a little bit more of a better character because, all that shit happened, and he's really sorry for it. Crowley actually comes back and puts some energy to it. Garth comes back. No, Garth's first appearance is in season 7, so nothing is a total loss. And yeah, the season finale better than the season finale of season 9, and it's okay. Season 7 is mostly boring, but it's not as bad as season 9. And the third worst season of the show is season 8. Now, it was a toss-up between season 10 and this season, but I had to choose season 8 mostly because of what happened with season 7. Now, season 7 was boring, yeah, but it ended actually kind of interesting. Like, as we last saw, Dean actually defeated the big bad, which was Dick Roman, and then him and Castiel actually ended up in purgatory. And it was like, but the thing that happened was, it season 8 took off where season 7 happened, except it took a year. And like we got introduced to Benny and whatnot, and things actually would have been fine if they actually had Dean stay in purgatory instead of that time skip where it actually was a year later. It would have been fine. Hell, if anything, the best parts of season 8 were where Vampire Benny, Castiel, and Dean were in purgatory. Those were actually quite great, and they actually had some humor, some lightness to it, but it was actually really dark. They could have just actually spent like, I don't know, 5 or 6 episodes in purgatory, just spread the brothers apart. Meanwhile, there was that I Want to Be Normal thing with Sam, where he was with this girl Amelia, who actually like forced him, like pretty much guilt tripped him into like adopting a dog that he actually accidentally injured. It's like, oh, you injured a dog, huh? You gonna take care of that? And it's like, yeah. And he didn't mind because he was in love with her, and even the actor himself, Jared Padalecki, flat out stated no. Season 8 was garbage because of that. Because Sam would never have done that. Because honestly, I'm pretty sure, like, if anything, Sam would have actually said, okay, where's Dean? Where's Dean? He would have actually went around for a long while and just got him out. That would have been fun. Separate them for like 5 episodes, and like Dean in purgatory, and Sam figuring out a way to get him out of purgatory. And yeah, it would have been fun. That would have been totally interesting. Like Sam would have been on his own, Dean would have been on his own with Cass, fighting things in purgatory. That would have been actually really good. But what we got was like, that's pretty much it. It was just, like the first half of season 8 was not that great. It wasn't all that great because, like, mostly because of Sam. Because Sam would do things that were pretty much against his character. Again, he would do anything for his brother and vice versa. But this time he's just with a girl and nothing. And here's the thing: when he has to make a choice between being with his brother and being with his girlfriend, he's with his brother, but nothing happens to his girlfriend. His girlfriend named Amelia, and it's like, oh god, this sucks. And like again, even Sam did, even the actor didn't even like it. Like I was like, this is just dull. This is just bad. And anytime I want to see season 8 again, the first half, I just go with like the purgatory stuff because that was the most interesting. And I'll be honest, Benny was not that interesting of a. At first, I thought Benny was not an interesting character because I thought he was going to turn out bad. Turns out he's not bad. He just couldn't. He was tempted by Earth. He was pretty much tempted by like what was going on Earth. Like, could he survive in this environment? Especially with his like him being really into blood. But how long could he keep this up before he starts killing for blood instead of just sneaking into hospitals and whatnot? And that was. I thought like that was not that impressive at first, but because it was interrupting his relationship with Sam and Dean. But it turned out, like, as I thought about it, it's like, no. He's really good. It's just that Sam's not giving him a chance. And it isn't until, like, Benny sacrifices himself where it's like, no, he's really a good guy. That's actually really depressing. Sam's just a dick right here. And, yeah, that just sucks. But, yeah. But when it gets to the Trials of Hell, where he has to close where Sam has to do the 3 trials, that's where it starts to get interesting, and that's where it's like fine. Like I thought it was fine, and hell, even Cass actually has like another like there's this subplot where Cass is pretty much like brainwashed by Heaven into killing the Winchesters and killing things because he's pretty much brainwashed, and it's like. yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's actually a lot better than the Sam and Amelia thing. That's actually a lot better than that. And yeah, again, I would have like if I actually had to split season 8 in half, I would have actually flat out said that the second half is more better than the first half because the first half is just like in a way I like it's season 8 is a mixed mess is a mixed bag because I do like the demon subplot about purgatory a lot, but I actually do like the three trials thing, especially the season finale. Now the season finale is actually pretty damn good, especially the last 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm like, holy hell, this is pretty damn good. And it's like the angels, they're falling. And I'm like, I could watch that scene a lot. I don't like the scene that came before it. It's more because it's like I would let these monsters walk just to see you alive, just so I can actually see you alive. And it's like, yeah, this is the problem that you guys have. You're really codependent on each other. You're really way too codependent on each other, and it should stop because it's actually costing lives. And but then again, after that, it's like angels are falling from heaven, and it's actually a beautiful scene. It's a terrifying scene, but the music itself, yeah, it's terrifying, sure, but holy crap, looking at that scene, it's beautiful. So yeah, even though season 8 is the third weakest of the series in my opinion, I still enjoy it. No, I don't enjoy it. I just think that there are moments. It's better than the last two I just mentioned, but there are moments that are really good, but it has to get through a lot of shit. Plus side with season 8, Crowley is a pretty damn good big bad because here's the thing: they utilized them really well in season 8. Like at least with the other seasons, he's pretty much affable. With season 8, so in order to like not get him to close the gate, not get the brothers to close the gates of hell, he actually is very genre savvy and figures out like Chuck's books and who they saved in the past, and then he starts killing them, and he starts killing people close to them, and it's like, holy crap, he's actually a really damn good big bag. Like he's actually using the resources he has and just killing people, and he's actually really good at it. And this is points against season 8 because he's so good. They should have killed him at the end because after that he can't. There's nothing like the writers have lost what they can do with him after that. Because season 8 he's been utilized so well as as a bad guy. Because again, killing like flat out killing people, especially Sam's love interest. I forgot her name. Not like he should have killed Amelia and nobody would have cared. But Sarah Blake, her name was Sarah Blake in season 1. They got the actress back, and he just flat out kills Sarah. It's like, okay, that's the now the brothers are more motivated into what they need to do, and it's like, holy crap, yeah, this is crossing it. So after that, he has to die, but they kept him alive for all these seasons, and it's like, yeah, that's you're not gonna know what to do with them. That's the problem. You don't know what to do with them, and even the actor admitted, no, after season 8, they don't know what to do with them. Just they flat out don't know. And that's pretty much season 8. My fourth least favorite is season 10 of the show. Now, it's actually a really good indication. Like after season 9, you can only go up from here. At least they actually had some improvements over like the course of that. Like, yeah, Dean is a demon, but it only happens in the first 3 episodes. And yeah, it's like, yeah, they wasted a lot, but at least they had the Mark of Cain, which they barely did anything with. But at least there was that. And again, there was some improvement. At least the brothers aren't arguing like they did with season 9. At least they got along for once. At least the writers actually picked up on that. Because it's like, the fans are like, oh god, can we just stop with that? And it's like, okay, so they just picked up on that. But the reason why it's so low on the list is because, like, we still have the whole one brother's hiding something from the other brother. and it's like, oh dear God. But this time it's like, uh, well, this time it's more like you can understand, but it's just another reason why the world is better off with these two, honestly, because it's like you're bringing people to your mess and you're having them killed, and it's like, yeah, I didn't like Charlie, who was a new character from season 7. I didn't like her that much, but to see all this idiocy go and go, like the main plot of season 10 is to get rid of the Mark of Cain, which which actually has some structure, because it's like, this episode, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do for this episode? Oh, it doesn't work. We're gonna try more. We're gonna try another one for this episode. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't work. And it just gets more and more desperate. And it's like, okay, Sam's like, okay, I'm gonna keep this away from Dean. I'm gonna try my hardest to get the Mark of Cain off of him. Otherwise, he's just gonna get worse and worse. And he does get pretty much a little bit worse and worse as time goes on. And I actually do like that a little bit, even though it's not fully utilized. It's like, I do kind of like that a little bit. But the problem is, he's lying to his brother, and eventually it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it pretty much does when Charlie flat out gets killed after getting the Book of the Damned, like finding out how to get rid of Dean's mark. Yeah, and Charlie gets killed horribly in the worst way possible. I don't like Charlie, but how she got killed is like bad. Even the actors are like, no, this is not how she should go out. It's like, oh, why not? It's how the story should play out. And I like the fact that at the expo or like a con, a person just flat out asked the showrunner at the time, Jeremy Carver, what were you thinking about that? And then everybody at the panel, Jared, Jansen, Misha, and Mark just flat out just turned around and just did just like, well, whatever. It's like, whatever. It's like, yeah, we're not gonna defend that. Yeah, we're not gonna defend you. And it's like, oh, it's part of the story. It actually has everything to do with the story. It's the story structure. We actually had to. It actually had to move the story forward. It's like, yeah, you could have done that without killing her, especially in a bad way. But yeah, at least season 10 is a better season than definitely season 7 and 9. Edging out season 8 slightly, but whatever. Whatever goes, whatever works. Yeah, whatever. It's like, yeah, whatever. But at least it actually had one of the best episodes of the season, which is pretty much like the second appearance of Cain, which is like, oh, I can actually get into this. I can watch that episode more than pretty much any season of season 10. Well, actually, that and the 200th episode, the fan fiction episode, which is actually a pretty funny episode, which pretty much is like, okay, you guys can like this is pretty much an episode for the fans. You guys can like what you like. We won't hold it against you. Do as much subtext between Dean and Cass as you can. You can just dislike any story we had in the past. It's totally fine. We're good. We're totally good. But this is for you, and this is a thank you for 200 episodes, and keep watching us, because we're going to put out more stories. And so, yeah. And back to the Dean versus Cain episode. That's actually a really interesting episode, because it's like, okay, this is really intense. He's telling us exactly what we need to hear for the story to go forward, because eventually he's going to like go crazy, but eventually he actually kills Cain. A little bit off screen, but whatever. It's actually it's still a really good episode. And then but this season gave us Rowena, which was a base-breaking character from seasons 10 through until Crowley died. So yeah, there's that. But again, season 10, a bit of an improvement to season 9. There are some flaws, yeah, sure, but yeah. It's actually it's a decent season. Like, at least they're getting better after season 9. And another thing about season 10, the reason why I like season 10 a little bit more is because if you look at it as the Winchesters actually being the bad guys, because they've slowly become bad guys throughout the past couple of seasons. It's actually really interesting. Like they gotten people killed and whatnot. So it's like the word is like, you know what? Why not? Why not just have a season where they're pretty much the bad guys? It's like, is this the big bad? No. Is this the big bad? No. Is this the bad guy? No. How about we just make it the Winchesters being the bad guys the whole time, and they unleash the darkness? And pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much their fault. Yeah, even like the last episode of the season was like, yeah, we've made the world worse. We used to actually like save people, but we've gotten people killed because of our codependency against with each other. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much right. That's exactly right. So yeah, I appreciate season 10 for actually that, just making the brothers bad guys. So yeah, season 10, yeah, good job for that. Season 12, the season where the Winchester's mother, Mary, comes back to life because of the darkness. And we also get introduced to Arthur Ketch, a well, the British men of letters, the British men of letters. And this season was okay. This season was actually okay. I mean, it's hard to come off of a season which actually was a pretty damn good season, but you know they tried. I actually appreciated the brothers as adults actually like seeing their mom as adult, like through the eyes of adults, and actually her trying to get used to the world in the present day, which she's not used to at first, but then she actually gets the hang of it. Like she starts talking to the brothers, and everybody's actually really close to each other again. It's like pretty much seeing somebody not seeing anybody for a long time, and you know what? You get them back, and it's beautiful. And they're showing instead of the parent showing the kid the ropes, the kid are showing the parent the ropes. Like what's changed? What's like going on? Like how is this going on? How is this possible? And it's actually really good. And the British men of letters, like I kind of have a mixed feeling about because it's more like, yeah, British. This is how like British versus America. It's like America is doing things right, and British are just so stuck up and snuffy a little bit. And I like the fact that even Sam Winchester is actually kind of for the British men of letters because he actually knows that they actually have their faults. What they're doing is actually reasonable. Like how they're doing it is actually pretty good. And even though Dean is like not trusting them because of what they've been doing in the past, like they killed somebody that the Winchesters have saved. Yeah, they actually know what they're doing. They actually have that inch of like, we're good. We're actually in the grand scheme of things. In the end, it turns out that the British men of letters aren't that great. But it's like, yeah, we aren't that great, but like we just want to like help people. We just want to like go at it, and we just want to help. Like we just want to like do what you guys are doing, but a little bit better with technology and whatnot. And like this is how everything should be in a sense. Yeah, in a sense like how things could be if you just joined us. And they actually are impressed. Well, Sam and Mary are kind of impressed about how things are going. But Dean is like unreserved, like no, this is not. And it turns out, of course, Dean is pretty much kind of right. Like they turned out to be kind of assholes, except the one character, but he's been killed off. Aside from that, it's an okay season. At least they kind of got better. Like it's on a upward swing from seasons 12, then 13, then 14. Yeah, there's an effort, like not by much. Like honestly, seasons 12 through 14 are kind of a flat line, but at the same time they're at least better than the last few seasons that came before it. So it's actually really well, except season 11. But again, get to it. It's actually a good thing for the last few seasons. But you know, it's actually pretty fine. Like season 12, it's okay. Like at least the brothers aren't lying to each other. At least they're like there's arguments here or there, but you know what? At least they're getting along for the most part. And it's nice to see like there's a change in dynamic in terms of the Winchesters. Like it doesn't always have to be the Winchesters and Castiel. It could be the Winchesters, Castiel, the Men of Letters, and it's nice that there's not much. There's demons, sure. There's demons and angels, sure. But whatever. At least like there's a nice change of pace. At least a nice change of pace is welcome, especially with a new cast member who was already a character in the show, but posthumously. But at least it's nice to see Mary Winchester be part of the show. Season 13. It's actually a pretty damn it's actually a pretty damn it's a pretty decent improvement because it actually talks about parallel universes. And it's actually pretty damn good to actually see in this. Because quite frankly the angels and demons thing was kind of like getting a little bit old at times. Like it's become a soap opera at this point. But with the introduction, with Mary and Lucifer being in purgatory and whatnot, with them being in purgatory and like the brothers Winchester and Cass actually figuring out like who Jack is, and finally the very first season where no Crowley this time, and that's why season 13 is such an improvement, because in the past, since season 8, there wasn't much to do with Crowley, and they just shoehorned. It felt like he was shoehorned in, and now that he died in the last episode of the season, it's more like, there's some breathing room. There's actual breathing room. There's no like conflict between who would be a king of hell, who would betray him. Like there was some conflict. There was some damn. It was a conflict. Like everybody likes Crowley, but when you figure out that he's the king of hell, what else is he gonna do now? And so with him dead, and there's like a new character named Jack, who's pretty much like a hellspawn, sure, but he's actually a character. Like he's another character, and it's actually refreshing at this point. But the thing is, like, he's actually doing some plot lines that Castiel had in season 5 or season 4. Like he's pretty much like stoic. He can't show emotions unless it's anger. And like the brothers are trying to figure out what's going on with him, like what he can do and what he shouldn't do. Like there's they're teaching him as much as they're teaching themselves. Like he's pretty much family to them at this point. And there's that. And other than like Jack being an essential part of the team, there's not much other than like them trying to get their mother back from another dimension where they don't exist, where Lucifer and Michael are still fighting. But at least there's like alternate Bobby, who I'll get to later. There's that. Other than that, there's not much to talk about, honestly. Like again, season 13 it continues to be an improvement, mostly because there's a different dynamic this time. But at least like there's that final confrontation between the Winchesters and Lucifer, where Lucifer is finally killed. The problem is like the fight seems a little iffy, where they're actually like floating and fighting, and like it's like there's that whole I agree, like the last few minutes are a bit odd, especially with Dean as Michael's eyes are blue like Thriller. It's like it's dumb, but like at least the rest of the season was okay. Again, another improved season, but kind of not by much. And now for the 7th worst season of the show, which is season 14. So far, the last season I'm talking about. This is actually a pretty good season. For those of you who don't know or just forgot, even though it's been a long while, a little bit of a long while. This season is pretty much about what was it about? I pretty much oh crap, I forgot. They're looking for Dean, and they're looking for Michael, who's in Dean's body, and they're trying to get Michael Michael out of there. And it's really nice to see that the brothers are separate for a while. And it's actually really nice for that to happen. And it's nice to see Garth again, even though it's for one episode, which is actually a really surprise. Like, this is the season where I actually had to stop watching the show so another person on Twitter could actually catch up. And like, it was actually really nice. I'm like, yay, we're watching this together. And I remember we were watching this pretty much at the same time, like tweeting about it and whatnot. And it's actually really nice to just talk about like what was going on through the season to another person, because my other friend hasn't watched the show in a very long time, because like she got burned out by it, and it's like, okay. And I kind of got burned out by it, but you know what? I just kept watching and like, okay, this is interesting again. Like watching the show, even though I'm burned out, I'm just like, okay, this is going to be interesting again. So season 14, yeah, I'm glad like the brothers are apart for a while. Like even though it's been 3 episodes now, ever since season I think 13, there was only 20 episodes a season. So at least that's another reason why season 14 is an improvement, because they cut down on the episodes from 23 to 20. So like the story could actually be a little bit more tighter. It could be tighter this time. I think it was either starting with this season or last season. Either way, the story is tighter. Like there's focus and whatnot. So yeah, at least there's focus at this time, and everything is just much tighter. But the thing is, I actually like this season mostly because like I don't think anybody's hiding from each other. There's argument, sure. There's like Dean's suicidal plan of like, if Michael's in my head and Michael's in my head right now, I got him in my head, and if he comes like the only way, if there's no other way, I'm just gonna be in this box for the rest of my life. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. It's like, yeah, there's a bit of character regression there, but at the same time, it's like, you can understand. And Sam talks him out of it. And eventually, Michael gets out of his head and goes about and gets into Rowena's head and starts killing the people who the Winchesters have saved from the alternate dimension so they can come here. And it's like, they've killed pretty much everybody, except, conveniently, Bobby's not there. Bobby's not there, so he's good. So it's fine. That's totally... Because, like, I felt like with the Purgatory... Like, not Purgatory, the alternate dimension characters, I felt like there was some sort of spin-off happening. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. It's not that great. And then when they're killed off, it's like, oh god, whatever. And so, like, eventually, Jack comes along, gets Michael out, and then kills him, or swallows his essence. I forgot. I'm not really sure. But just swallows his, he's pretty much powered up again after Lucifer took away his powers at the end of last season. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. And then slowly but surely, it's like, yeah, is Jack really good? Is Jack really that good? Does he still have a soul? It's like, he kind of does, but he kind of doesn't. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And then he's ramped up to become like pretty much a bad guy after killing Mary Winchester. And yeah, that was kind of a shock, sure, but at the same time, it's like at the end of the episode, we kind of saw it coming. But actually, it is, like, before I get into this, it actually is kind of nice for Garth to come out. Like, it was a shock when Garth comes along, because, keep in mind, we haven't seen him since season 9, when he retired. And then when he comes back, I was like, oh my god, he's back. And so, like, I pretty much, like, while I was watching the episode, I was tweeting another friend who was tweeting about the 14th season of Supernatural, like, okay, watch the next episode right now. And she's like, okay, fine. And then I knew she would actually be surprised because like watch the episode now because I can't wait to see her reaction on Garth. And then 5 minutes later she tweeted, okay, that moment when you find out that Garth actually comes back, and she's like, oh my god. I'm like, I know, I know, I know. And it's I thought like we would never see Garth again because from all that time, every time we only hear about Garth. It's like Garth, get out of there. Garth, get out of there. Get your come out of there. Okay, thanks for the information, Garth. He's like, we'll keep in touch, Garth. We only see him off screen or hear him off screen, but never like in full person with facial hair. I'm like, holy crap, they actually got him this time. And my jaw dropped on the floor. And I'm hoping that he comes back for the last season because like he was fun and he's actually really toned down this time. Like he's quirky, but compared to his season 7 stuff, it's like, yeah, he's awesome now. I mean, last we see him, he's in the car, but whatever. And then Mary Winchester's dead, like, and they're trying to find him. They're lying to him just to like, and they're just lying to Jack just to like get him into the box that Dean was supposed to get into. It's like, okay. And then, like, Lucifer appears as a hallucination. Oh yeah. Alright. Let me get into something. Even though Season 14 is a massive improvement, I did not care that, not Lucifer was, like, trying to find who killed his family. Because I thought that was just, I didn't really care. Why, you could have just killed him off. You could have just killed him. You know? That's all you had to do. And then he did get killed. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But I didn't really need to see him, especially with the troll logic. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. It's like he wants to find his family and who killed his family and whatnot. But I didn't care. I genuinely didn't care about like him finding his family. He could have just killed him. You could have just killed him off. Like, and there was that cop out in season 14. It's like, well, like, you killed him with a demon blade. I guess it doesn't affect humans. Yes, it does affect humans. It does affect humans. I don't care what you said. That is a cop out. Sorry. That is a cop out, okay? I do not care. That is a cop out move. It's like, okay. It's like, I mean, yeah, sure, he'd be injured. He should be dead, not injured. And like him going around trying people like, you know who killed my family? It's like, yeah, there's a demon who possessed me and made me kill your family. Like, I believe you, but these hands kill my family, so stab. It's like, no, that's a stupid, that's insane troll logic. That's insane troll logic, and you should know. So if you killed here's the thing, you were possessed by Lucifer, and you killed a lot of people. So since you killed people, that should mean you should kill yourself because Lucifer was in your body using your hands to like do these horrible things. Therefore, you should kill yourself. So like the logic, I know he's like cracking, but he's cracking under the scene, sure. But it's like I do not care. I don't care. Like I like season 14, but I don't care about his subplot. And when he gets killed, I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. And yeah, I don't care. But the season finale is actually like quite actually. The last few minutes are actually quite horror filled. Like zombies are like. Actually, it's both funny and dark. Like the funny part is when like nobody can lie. For a while, nobody can lie because Jack is like, stop lying, and everybody can't lie. And I actually like that. And it's actually quite ironic, like right here, because like usually like it stopped in season like 10, but usually the Winchesters would be lying to each other, but it's actually quite funny. Like they're lying, like they're not lying to each other, but they're telling the truth. I actually like that. Like one of the few seasons where they're not lying, like everybody else can't lie, and they're like Celine Dion. It's like, who's your favorite? Like who's your favorite singer? And I know you're gonna lie. It's like Celine Dion. Celine Dion. It's like, dude, what the hell? It's like, yeah, we can't lie. It only just gives us the horrible, horrifying truth. And I kept replaying that part over and over again. And then when the final confrontation uh, between eventually God comes along, who's Chuck again, Chuck slash God, whatever. And eventually he comes along and it's like, yeah, you can kill Jack by using the gun, this gun. And it's like, okay, fine. So it's like there's confrontation between Dean and Jack, and Jack wants them to shoot him. It's like, you know what? No. And then God's like, this is not how it's supposed to be. And it's like, okay, kill Jack. If you kill Jack, we're gonna let your mom come back. It's like, no. And that's actually a really good move. It's like, listen, man, I miss my mom. I miss her so much after what happened, but it's not gonna be worth it. It's like, okay, I'll kill him. I'm not even gonna kill him, but it's like, I'm not gonna, fine. I'm gonna kill him yourself. I'm gonna kill him myself. And then he kills Jack. Well, who's not really dead. But Billy comes along. Billy, whatever. She's no death, but whatever. I don't really care. Then she comes, like, then he's like, hey, and the brothers pretty much confront Chuck. It's like, oh, you've been playing with our lives this whole time. Well, stop writing the story. And it's like, okay, story time's over. And he actually gets all these zombies. After it becomes night, he gets all these zombies to attack the Winchesters and Cass. And it's actually the last 3 minutes are like, oh my god, this is actually really intense. And honestly, I can't wait for the last season because this is going to be, I hope this is going to be a really intense final season. In my opinion, I hope this is going to be intense, and I hope this season actually has some goodwill, and I hope that it actually gets better from here. Season 6. Now, this would have been the best postscript season of the show, but we're going to get into it later. If it wasn't for the next season on the list, it would have been. At one point it was, but we're going to get into that later. Season 6. This first season where it was supposed to be the last season was supposed to be the last season, but, you know, it was renewed, and Season 6 comes along. Now, Dean is pretty much retired from hunting, and he's with Lisa and Ben. I think that's her name. Yeah, his girlfriend, his love interest, he's with his love interest, and her son, which is fine. But then it turns out, like, Sam comes back from hell, and he's rescued from hell. But this time, as we find out later on, he's been acting strange, and he's been acting, like, out of character a little bit. He has no soul. And so Dean has to pretty much come out of retirement to, like, help him with a few things. And it actually, this season actually is really good at showing, like, you can actually try to have a family life and be a hunter, but you can't do both. And in the end, Dean realizes that you can't do both. So he has to leave, like, his retirement life and having, like, his love interest and her son forget about him. And it's like, okay, that's actually a really odd thing. Like, yeah, they're gonna forget about you, sure, but what about the other people that know about them? Aren't they gonna be in danger? Like, the bad guys know who they are, but it's gonna put them in even more danger. That's pretty much. I find that kind of pretty much a little bit off because, yeah, they're gonna forget, sure, but they're still gonna be in danger from the demons or whatnot. But yeah. So I do appreciate Dean's, like, family life and, like, hunting. Like, he can't juggle both, so he has to go into hunting because it's pretty much in his blood. But the reason why I really like this season, or it's the second best postscript season of the show, which is pretty much makes it the 7th best season in my opinion. It's my seventh best season of the series because like I actually do like the first half. Like, it's split into 2 halves, you know? Like, the first half deals with Sam Soul being in hell, and Dean actually trying to, like, break out into family life and hunting. which is not going well at least. Like it's actually cutting it, and again, like Dean has to leave for like hunting because it's in his blood. But I actually do appreciate, finding out that Sam lost his soul, and it's one of the few times where you can totally understand why Dean has a hard time trusting Sam because it's not Sam, it's Soulless Sam, and I actually do appreciate up until like he gets his soul back. I actually do appreciate like, holy crap, this is actually really dark and really intense, but at the same time it can be really funny because Soulless Sam is both terrifying, but he can also be funny because like he doesn't really care about what's going on or his brother. Like, yeah, sure, he could be funny because of his lack of carelessness, but at the same time, he's actually really scared. And it's one of the few times in the Supernatural where you can totally understand why Dean doesn't trust Sam. Again, no soul, yeah, but at the same time, he finds out that Sam came back from hell he's been back for a year and he has no soul. And it's like, yeah, I can totally understand why Dean actually doesn't trust Sam at all. It's like, okay, listen, you have no apathy, you have no empathy, you have done horrible things in the year that I didn't know you came back. You were back for a year and you didn't even tell me or whatnot. You could have just gave me a call and went like whatever. But after all that crap you did, I don't trust you at all, and I need you to be with me for like until we get you back on the Soul Train. And I totally get that. And it's really sad because like it's season 6 starts out fine, like pretty damn good, and then apparently there was some backlash with the fans. I'm like, wait, really? Like here's the thing, I didn't get into Supernatural until season 9 ended, and I started from the beginning. Apparently there was some backlash with that plot about Soulless Sam, so halfway through the writers actually had to wrap it up. I was like, no, but it was actually really interesting. It's actually a really interesting season. Like there's a new dynamic which is actually both terrifying at the same time funny and heartwarming. Like Dean is trying to get Soulless Sam to actually have some sort of empathy and some sort of care, and that's totally fine. And then like the bad guy of the season, which was Eve, I don't remember because I'm just so into Soulless Sam because he's actually really interesting and he's actually really psychotic. Hell, I actually prefer him over Demon Dean because like Demon Dean was only in for like 3 or 4 episodes, while Sam actually took up more, like about half of the season, and it's like he's actually really interesting and at the same time much more terrifying than Demon Dean was. Because at least Demon Dean was only hard to handle, but Soulless Sam for a whole year did so much horrible things. And when it ended, even like you could tell by this point, like at least it was actually a 22 episode season because the next season was season 7, which is 23 episodes. But at least it was kind of contained. It's like at least we have the French Mistake, which is a funny season. So I don't know how you could work your way around that season with a Soulless Sam. But the thing was, I think they could have figured it out. I don't know how, but I think they could have figured it out. The problem was like after the Soulless Sam thing was wrapped up, it's like we don't know where to go with this, so we're gonna make Cass the bad guy, which was okay. I thought it was okay. Like I forgot to mention this in season 7, but I didn't really care about Sam actually having PTSD because of Hell, because like there was when Sam actually did get his soul back, it's like Sam is like, sure. Like here's the thing, Sam in season 6, Soulless Sam did not want his soul back, and when he does, it's like, okay, we're gonna put your soul back, but I'm gonna put a wall there because it's gonna fry your brain because of your memories in Hell. And then we kind of get a glimpse of what happened, and it's actually pretty much not pretty. I mean, it's not what we see with Dean's soul in Hell. It's not like that. Like, it's not as terrifying as that, but it's pretty bad. And so, like, there had to be a wall put up so he wouldn't have to remember those memories. and then eventually that wall comes down, and it pretty much, apparently, it was only 5 minutes, but in Sam's head it was like an eternity. And that's pretty much actually kind of interesting. And then Cass, because he's like pretty much wants to become, he has to work with Crowley in order to get souls to heaven and whatnot, like gathering souls, so he could actually be that. Until he gets power crazy and he becomes the bad guy, which only lasts about 3 or 4 episodes. The last two episodes, and then it bleeds into season 7. And I actually do kind of like that a little bit. I actually do like that. It's just that it wasn't really utilized all that well after season 7. It's actually too bad because like we could have actually used bad guy Castiel. Who knew? And yeah, so season 6 actually is a pretty damn good season. It's just that, because the fan reaction is pretty much the fan reaction to the what was supposed to be a pretty damn good season would have been actually. Man, that Soulless Sam arc could have been like a whole season long instead of like half the season. And then for a few episodes, the writers didn't know what to do until they're like, okay, we'll make Cass a bad guy. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the better seasons. But looking back at it, it's actually a good season. It's a good season. It's just that it actually had to. Man, the writers could have just went through it out. Like, I just wish the writers could have just went with the Soulless Sam arc, and it would have been fine. It would have been actually really good. If they went with that, I thought it would have been better than season. I would have said it would have been better than the first 2 seasons, in my opinion. So, yeah, season 6, it's actually one of the better post-season scripts. It was until the next. No, not the next season. It was up until season 11, or as I like to call, the best season of the postscript seasons, also known as the season of the author's saving throws. Now, season 11 is the season of the darkness. So the Winchesters have to join forces and try to get the band The Darkness back together, because they were an amazing band and they thought they just deserved so much better. Nah, The Darkness is pretty much like the bad guy of the series, although it's more like kind of misunderstood in some ways. Like she's killed people, sure, but it's pretty much the fault of the Winchesters. You see, she was pretty much born out of like getting the mark of Cain off of Dean's like arm, and then all that shit happened at the end of season 10, where like black stuff just came out of the ground and surrounded pretty much what I assume is the entire Earth, and it starts infecting everybody with darkness stuff. And so like the darkness ends up going from this little child who wants to like eat people or whatnot into this young lady to this young woman because of rapid aging syndrome. And yeah, it's pretty much fine. And this season, and it turns out like the Winchesters have to try to stop the darkness from happening, like from taking over the world and pretty much nearly causing another apocalypse or whatnot, like destroying the Earth, what have you. And I really like this season because even though it is a 23 episode season, it feels so much tighter than previous seasons. Like, for one thing, the Winchesters are getting along. They're not fighting. When they kind of do, it's like, yeah, it's fine, it's understandable, and they're not lying to each other. And the best part is, even though it's a 23 episode season, the story is tight. There's only one breather season, and it's one breather episode of the season, and it's the baby season, where it's pretty much the episode is entirely inside of the Impala. and it's actually really funny. It's actually really fun to be like a part of this Impala because it's pretty much like a character in the show. It's been smashed, it's been shot at, it's been like shattered, it's been destroyed, but it's still a part of the. It's pretty much the heart of the show, and it's like it's actually a pretty good episode. It's funny, it's dramatic, and like it's fun. It's actually a good it's pretty much a good introspection or a good perception of an inanimate object. And I like the season because well, it does what the previous seasons did. Seasons 1 through at least 5. It actually each episode is dedicated to like the story arc, and it just gives us something at a time, like one bit at a time. Like, what's the big bad like? Okay, we're gonna tell you a little bit in each episode. In each episode, we're gonna tell you about a little bit about this thing and how to defeat it. And when the Winchesters try to defeat it, it doesn't work. So we're gonna have to find out more about it and more and more. And I actually do like how it actually turns out because we get to it actually just keeps building up and building up and building up. That's how the show always should have been like not going into doing different things and whatnot. Just talking about information, like giving us information about who this villain is and who the villain is and how good it is. How I don't know how to because there's so much going right with this season. That's why it's my favorite out of the postscript seasons. Like they acknowledge that the brothers acknowledge that the relationship is horribly codependent, and they can't keep doing what they're doing. They have to kind of sacrifice what they have, what they need, and just become better hunters and actually have good consciousness, not letting people die. That's actually a really good thing that they're going for, and I'm glad the writers are actually going for it. Like the first episode when I saw it and they acknowledged it, I'm like, thank God! Thank God this is actually really this is a relief. This is a flat out relief to hear this. One of the brothers actually have the state of mind of listen, we actually have to do this. And yeah, there's that one part where Sam is infected with the darkness, but it turns out it's more I don't see it as much as lying as I have to do this. I need to do this by myself. I have to do this by myself. And it turns out he did it by himself. He's not infected. Hell, he's actually without his brother's help, he flat out uninfects everybody else. Not everybody else, but a whole bunch of people. And it's actually quite It's actually quite amusing. Hell, he actually tells his brother in the baby episode, listen, I was infected. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine now. Dean is like, what? He's like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm serious. It's fine. And it's actually really because he is fine for the rest of the season. And it's like, oh my God, this is actually really good. And they're just talking it out. They're not even. Dean's not even calling out Sam actually lied or kept something from him. It's more not lying. It's more I just need to do something by myself. And it shows he's actually done for all his faults the past few seasons. It's actually really interesting to see him go out on his own and actually figure some things out and help people because it's oh my God, they're saving people, hunting things and saving people, and that's actually quite good, and it's actually quite an acknowledgement flat out what it goes to show okay, these are demons. We can just possess, they're possessed. The people are possessed. We don't have to kill the bodies. And it's okay, first up, it's okay, we've tied up this demon. It's okay, has this demon been shot? Has the body been shot? It's yeah, it's been shot. We're gonna kill the demon. It's okay, that's fine. And I actually like how they actually acknowledge it and how there are people in there. There are people in the bodies. Just don't shoot them. There are people inside. Because if you shoot the demons, you're gonna shoot the person inside. That's why the whole demon blade going into Lucifer and the person living, Nick, the guy Nick is living. That doesn't make any sense. So that's why I actually do like it. I actually do like how season 11 addressed that, and I also like how another season actually addressed the fact heaven. The most terrifying thing is that heaven is pretty much dying because so many angels have been killed. There's not enough angels in heaven. I'm sure it doesn't make sense in a little bit, but so many angels have been killed. Like heaven is dying because less and less angels are there, and it's losing power. And it's like, holy crap, that is actually a terrifying realization. And it's like, if there's no more angels, what's gonna happen? Like, if there's no more angels, what's gonna happen to heaven? Is Earth gonna like be like filling up with people until it's overcrowded, and then like we're all just gonna suffocate? And oh my god, like season 11 is actually really good because like the season finale, it just gets everything gets is built up to the season finale, and then it goes like God comes along, and it's like, yeah, God comes along, and everything's pretty much fine. And then hell, it's so good that even like um the darkness is like, okay, you helped me reconcile with my brother, who is God. Here, I'm going to give you something in return. And lo and behold, here comes Mary Winchester, and it's actually like holy crap. And I actually do like the fact that Dean and the darkness are pretty much interconnected at this point, because like it's pretty much like a love, like Dean wants to kill this person or this thing or this being, but he's still kind of more of an attraction to it, because like the mark of Cain was a part of him. It's like there's this feeling like he kind of doesn't want it. He wants to do it, but at the same time, there's this emotional attachment to it, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty much fine. It's like, I have to do this, but at the same time, and he's telling like his brother. He's even telling his brother this, like, I don't know, something's wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like she's in my head, but at the same time, it's like I still have like somewhat attachment to her emotionally. And I actually do want to watch all of season 11 again, because it has flaws, sure, Cass actually pretty much kind of regressing in character because he wants to stop the darkness, so he actually has to get to Lucifer. So he lets Lucifer possess him. And actually that comes out of one of my favorite episodes of like the entire season, because it's the episode The Devil in the Details, I think, where the brothers have to go to hell to confront Lucifer and talk about the darkness. And Lucifer actually has to take Sam on a head trip, addressing like what the horribleness that Sam actually did, like his character digression or regression, or character derailment since season 8, because he kind of pretty much derails as a character, and it addresses like that episode pretty much addresses the problems that the fandom and Jared Padalecki had with Sam since season 8. Like, he's become a jerk. He's become a bit of an asshole. He's become like not the reliant. He's not become not so reliant. Like, he was called upon. He was called out on his behavior way before then, but it's like it pretty much added up to the point where even Jared Padalecki couldn't even like defend that kind of behavior. And so that episode pretty much like throws all that shit in Sam's face, and then it actually in return says, Sam's like, no, I'm not gonna let you repossess me because I've learned from my mistakes. And that's pretty much why that episode is great, because pretty much it shows that like Sam actually has had problems in the past, but at the same time it's like, yeah, I have problems in the past, but I'm not gonna go ahead and like reintroduce them. I'm not gonna like regress as a character. And so, Cass actually really wants everybody to like this whole thing to end, so he lets um, Lucifer possess him, so things could actually start going back to normal. So like there's a regression on Cass's part, but you could totally understand. And I can actually watch that particular episode over and over again, because, well, the season I can watch over again because there's no filler. And yeah, again, there's no filler, and the story, every episode pretty much connects, and we get a little piece of information about what's going on at a time, and it's actually kind of refreshing for that. And again, not much filler. Yeah, not much filler, and that's why season 11 is my favorite postscript season of Supernatural. And now we're gonna get into the first 5 Eric Kripke seasons. The best seasons of the show. And we're gonna start off with... And now, the 5th best season of the show is Season 3. Now, I do want to like the show more had it not been for the writer's strike. Now, for those of you who don't know about Season 3, it's pretty much the season where Sam is trying to get, like, Dean to actually live longer because he actually had a contract against him. In a year, he'll go to hell. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And, yeah, it's the shortest season of the show by 16 seasons because of the writer's strike, and it actually is really intense. And it could have been really intense if it went for like the full 22, but again, writer's strike, and they actually had to rush the last 4 episodes. Now, yeah, I do really like this season because, in my opinion, it's actually the darkest season because they're on a time crunch. Pretty much not one episode is wasted here. Like, you can feel like the intensity. Like, there are some funny moments, sure, but when it gets to the Christmas episodes and the last 3 episodes, you can, like, the Christmas episode is really sad because it's pretty much going to be the last Christmas that they're going to have before Dean has to go to hell, unless they find a way to break Dean out of his contract. And I actually really do enjoy that. And I actually do like the fact, like, the last 2 episodes, for as rushed as they are really intense. They can be really funny, but they're really intense. And then the last episode, the last 10 minutes are ratchet up the insane craziness. And then when we see Dean's soul in hell, it's actually really intense and really sad and really terrifying to see. Because that's something that, holy crap, they lost. It's like the first season where it's like, oh my god, they lost. Well, the first season ended with that car crash. The second season ended where it could have ended the entire show, to be honest. And the third season is like, holy crap. And that's why I like, because it's like the brothers actually are getting along, even because they can't fight. They honestly can't fight, because if they do fight, they're gonna regret it, because Dean is going to hell. And on that level, I actually, from what I understand, if there wasn't a writer's strike, it not only would have been the 22 seasons, but the 21st episode, the before the season premiere would happen, Dean would have been saved from hell, and yeah, he would have just been still alive. But I'm glad the writers decided, you know what, we have no choice. We have to send Dean to hell. And the last 10 seconds are pretty much scary to me. It is very terrifying and very sad to see what happens. But yeah, it's actually really intense. And I do appreciate kind of the slow burn. There are some moments of levity, sure, but I do appreciate kind of the slow burn. The first 5 seasons actually, well, the first 3 seasons, honestly. The first 3 seasons have. The third season, actually, for as rushed as the last 4 episodes are, there is this, it's actually really intense. I'm pretty sure, this rush scheduling actually made the last few episodes more intense and a little bit more focused, even though it's a little bit more all over the place. And it's a little bit, some bits are a little bit off, sure, but, yeah, it's actually a pretty good, damn good season for as flawed as it is. I mean, if it was for a full 22 seasons, this would have been my 3rd favorite. But for what it is, it's actually a pretty damn good season. My 4th favorite season of Supernatural is season 1, the very first season. Yeah. From what I understand, I appreciate, like I said about the slow burn before. I recently watched the season 1, the finale for the season. I am surprised how much of a slow burn that is. That is a slow burn. Holy crap, this is actually going on really slowly. So, the season. This is the first season. It actually starts off with you know, the brothers are reconciling. Like Sam's doing his thing in school, Dean's hunting, and he gets because of their missing father. Dean gets Sam to come with him, and then after like hunt, Sam's girlfriend gets killed, and it's like okay, now the plot can get going, and so pretty much the entire season is them not only trying to find their father, but hunting, like helping people and hunting things that are trying to kill other people. And that's actually a really good thing because it's mostly monsters of the week, like X Files. First season is pretty much monsters of the week, and it's like yeah, there's like an underlying like story arc there, but it's actually a really good thing to see. Like the monsters are actually really creative, and it's really fun. Like it's actually really interesting to see the brothers actually do what they actually know how to do, and while they're trying to find their father, and their father is found, and yeah, it's actually a really good like. It's actually it's. I would have put this like at well, at least it improves from here because yeah, there are some growing pains, but what show actually is amazing off the bat? Because if it's amazing off the bat, it only can go downhill from there. But there are some times where it's like yeah, there are some holes here and there. Some of it gets repetitive, like it gets repetitive at times, sure, but it's like it's like yeah, whatever. It's growing. It's by the second season, like it actually grows out of that, like in the sixth or seventh episode, it actually grows up. Like the first few episodes are fine, but then it kind of gets better from there to the point where it's like, okay, this is actually really, really interesting to see, and you really grow to like these characters, even though they are flawed. They are still human, and it's nice to see like they are in a heroic form that if you watch again, it's like, holy crap, they are very young here. The main characters are very young here, and yeah, it's actually a really good like witness. It's actually a really good start of very surprisingly good long running series. And if you actually go check it out after 14 seasons later, it's like, holy crap, things have changed, especially the color scheme. Holy crap! Like I watched a few episodes of season one. It's pretty much black and white, and then it's I guess it's because of it's the only season that was on the WB, and then it became the CW. I think it merged into the CW, and then there's a lot more of a color palette. Like it's more black and white, and it's a lot more. It seems like a lot more. It's a little bit more bleak, and like things have changed. Like holy crap! But in the long run, season one is pretty good. It's just that the next season would be a little bit more better. Season 2. Oh boy. Yep. So, I'll say pretty damn good season. Holy crap. The season actually has a lot more character development. Season 1 actually starts off with the characters, and then season 2 starts with the character development. We get to see a little bit more focus. And like it picks off where season 1 ended. Like there's that big car crash at the end, and then season 2 starts with like them at the hospital. Dean is actually in like Dean's soul is wandering around. He's gonna die soon. He's gonna die, but then his father saves him by sacrificing his life. And there's this whole survivor's guilt. Like, why did I have to die? Why did he have to die and I am still alive? There's that whole survivor's guilt. And he's like really mad. Like the brothers like are heartbroken about like their father that Sam hasn't seen in a while. But it's actually quite heartbreaking. And so they have to go on, but at the same time they still have to go and save people. And so they end up knowing like not much of monsters, but they know about demons and whatnot. They know about what's going on about like all this stuff. Everything is going on around them, and everything is just flat out going insane. Everybody's just like everybody's trying to grow. Like they're arguing, sure, but they're trying to grow as adults, as hunters, and that's where a show should go. It shouldn't only be like a formulaic monsters of the week. like season one pretty much was, and to the point where I just like, oh god, come on. And it's like, no. You can actually have monsters of the week, but not as formulaic. You can have a few surprises, a few in-depth characters, and there's this season where the angst was starting to show. Like, it's actually really interesting to see season two like go from like these kind of like not cardboard cutouts, but like safe ways of these characters to like how they can grow, like how they can be happy, how can they be sad, how can they be upset, what makes these characters tick, and these recurring characters, and how quirky they are, and how like likable they can be, even though like some of them start off like whatever. And so like I appreciate how like far it can go, and I appreciate especially like the last three episodes, because there's that um the episode where Dean actually is like captured by a djinn and actually is shown like what it could have been like if he wasn't hunting and whatnot. And it's actually a really refreshing and really good intake about Dean's psyche and what he wants and what he'd eventually get at season 5, at the end of season 5. And it shows like even like the worst part of his like alternate life could be like what could be normal, and even though he has shut out a lot of people in that life, like this is him happy, and like it's sad to see that, and he's sad. It could show like he is a sad human being. He's not this tough guy. He is a tough guy. He's a badass, and so is his brother. And it shows that underneath this tough guy exterior, and inside it's just a hurting man who just wants to actually be like strong for his brother, but at the same time it's like wondering how can he be strong for himself. And then there's the last two episodes, which is pretty much like a two-part season finale, and it's like, oh my god, like they're ranking up everything. Everything is just going so insane. Like Sam dying, and then him like selling his soul to go to hell just so he can be resurrected. It's like, yeah, you get to see more of these characters, like Dean's like heartbreak, and it's so like insanely like he's just so like uncomfortable with himself, like him doing these things. It's like, yeah, you can see what like it's more about his psyche. Like his psyche is just so broken, like he can't stand to see anybody else die, that he like his father died, so it's like, yeah, I can't, if I see my brother die, I can't do it. I'd rather see my brother being alive. It's like it's a fool's moment, sure. It's like it's a pretty much a rash decision, sure, but it's like, yeah, I can understand why. It's like I can understand where he's coming from. It's a stupid decision, and he kind of regrets it, but he'd do anything for his brother, even sell his soul. So it's more like, yeah, I could see why. But it's really sad. And then like they defeat, like the story arc could end there. It could end there. Like it's like at the end of the season, it's like, okay, you have a year left, and the gates of hell are open. What do we do? And it's like Dean's like, well, we got work to do. And then you could have ended the whole series there because the main arc is done. Then it kept going, which is for better or for worse, it kept going. So yeah, season 2 is my third favorite season of the show, and now we're gonna get into my second favorite. Season 5 is my second favorite season of this entire show, and I actually, oh my god, like at first I actually thought this was my favorite season, but we'll get into that later. I thought this was my favorite season, and it did what season 11 also did. It's just like giving a piece of information one episode at a time. And it's actually really cool for that to happen. Those are my favorite seasons of Supernatural. Just a story arc and giving us one piece of information at a time. And it continues from where season 4 ended, where Lucifer is out of his cage because the two brothers actually did a lot of they actually broke a few seals, and it broke Lucifer out of his cage. And the brothers are at odds with each other because of what Sam did and what Dean said to him. And it's actually a really good change of not change of pace, but it's actually really good at focusing the entire there's not one piece of one episode that actually is not connected to it, you know. So yeah, there are some episodes where there are monsters of the week, but they are still intense. But at the same time, the story arc is just figuring out a way to have Lucifer back in his cage, and the reason, but yeah, it turns out Sam and Dean, uh, they're the vessels for Michael and Lucifer, and it's you can see the parallels, two brothers at odds with each other, and they're fighting. And this time, not the brothers fight, sure, but not on a global scale. But if they get possessed by Michael and Lucifer, it's going to be on a global scale. And I actually do appreciate the fact they have to get along, they have to work together, no matter how much pain and suffering they're going to go through, and how many people they lose. They have to stop Lucifer from taking over the world and starting the apocalypse. And I do appreciate that. I do appreciate how far this would go. I appreciate Lucifer as a character. I appreciate Cass as a character, and I like the fact Crowley is in it for the first time without facial hair, which I watched recently, and I'm like, holy shit, he has no facial hair. This is actually throwing me off completely. Because him with a beard is what we all know him now, but then watching him in his first appearance in season 5 is holy crap. But yeah, I do appreciate as of right now, every time I take out my braids, I watch a couple of episodes from season 5 just to refresh myself. And it's yeah, this is actually a really damn good season. It actually goes along fairly smoothly, one episode at a time, just giving us information, and coming up with a plan. And whenever that plan does not work at all, we have to start again and just try to figure out what to do next. And it is heartbreaking at times. People die, and it is heartbreaking. It's not oh my god, they're dead. Oh well, let's move on. It's no, it is heartbreaking. It actually gets to a couple of characters, for a couple of episodes, and I do appreciate how it goes. And yeah, it contains the best episode of the series, which is the last episode, where Sam finally says yes to Lucifer, but only in a bid to toss him to hell. When it doesn't work temporarily, Dean is there to remind him that he'll always be there. And then finally, Sam actually repossesses his soul, and then they both him and Michael go to hell. And it's actually a very bittersweet ending. And I do appreciate it, even though my favorite episode is from my second favorite season. And Dean has to make a promise, you can't, stop hunting. To Sam, you can stop hunting. Just go live your life, because you're good. This is the story. The story is ended. And I do appreciate that. That is actually a good appreciation for that. And yeah, I'm glad to see the characters have been taken to their most logical conclusion here. The story is wrapped up, and yeah, I mean, yeah, this is actually really funny. It's actually a really good. It could be really funny. It could be really serious. It could actually be really scary and very intense. And the season actually gives more appreciation to the Winchesters, as they evolve into their characters. I mean, they started to develop. It's good to see they went from point A from season 1 to point B in season 5, and shows how selfless they can actually be in terms of saving the world and whatnot. And so yeah, that's pretty much that's why season 5 is my second favorite season, which leads us to my favorite season, which is this season 4 is my favorite season of the show, because not only does it introduce Cass, but it actually gives us appreciation. It actually it goes where the show didn't think would go before, and that's introducing angels. And I actually do wish I could have been there first run when season 4 first ran, because it would have been freaking intense. oh my god, like with the introduction of how angels are and how like introduction of Cass the angel and how badass like Dean actually crawled out from hell like physically like body wise and him getting to know everybody else like him being reintroduced to like Sam and Bobby and like yeah it's actually really good like and him and Dean flat out saying he's fine, but he's really not because he still retains the memories of hell. And I do appreciate the fact, like, yeah, like the brothers do are like Sam is keeping the demon blood thing away, but at the same time, it's actually really fascinating, like keeping the demon blood like process away from Dean. Sam like having a problem with demon blood which is fought, which uh, Sam's problem with demon blood away from Dean, and him using his powers like in a not so good way, not with like weapons, but with psychic abilities, which I actually kind of forgot because that plotline has died a long time ago. I forgot. Oh my god, it's been a while. It's been a long while. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, I do like season 4 because it actually moves at a pace which I like, which is giving us a little bit of information at a time. And there are some funny episodes, there are some lighthearted episodes, and there are some dark episodes, and there are some serious episodes, and there are some episodes which actually did make me cry at sometimes. Like particularly like when Dean like tells his brother, "I'm not totally okay. I still have like the memories of hell in my head, and I don't know if I can sleep." I mean, eventually, apparently, he kind of gets better, and he doesn't say much about that. But it just goes to show how much darkness in his psyche that Dean has, and so does Sam when he actually is with Ruby, who's in an entirely different body. And it's like, oh my God, he's like doing these terrible things to the point where it's like I can't like to the point where when eventually like Dean and Bobby find out about it, they have to like lock him up, like an intervention, like it's like rehab, like he has to get all this out of the system, otherwise it's just gonna kill him, and he's just gonna become this terrible human being. And I do appreciate that, like they do fight, but they're fighting like this is one of the times where the lie is not repeated. Like this is one of the times. This is the season where this is the early season where it's like the brother lying to another brother, the brother lying to another brother about like what they're doing. But it's fine. But it's fine because like Sam wants to do this for the greater good. No matter like he's not doing it for an addiction. He's just, I mean, he's addicted. Sure, it's pretty much like a drug, but he's doing it just so he can actually like get stronger and just defeat Lucifer, or like no, not Lucifer, defeat Lilith. But it turns out like he would like the brothers fight in the last two episodes, and they like flat out nearly destroy the world because of it. And it just goes to show like yeah, they fight, but they're stronger together. Even though like season 5 showed they are stronger together, and season 4 like they're getting along, and then they're getting along at first, but then things slowly get more and more intense until it's like, okay, I can't trust you. You've lied to me. You chose a demon over me. And it's like, okay, screw this. I'm out. And so, like, killing, like, Lilith broke the final seal, and it's actually really interesting. It's actually a really interesting thing to watch again because it's like, yeah, you're breaking out of what was going on with the first two seasons and building to what season 3 had. Like, there are demons, sure, but there are also angels. And it's like, awesome, this is actually really good. This is actually really interesting. And then we see Castiel for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually really good. This is actually a really good thing we're going along for. And like I actually do appreciate how the show actually like this is my favorite. Like season 5 might be the better season, and it is, but season 4 is my personal favorite because it contains a lot of my personal favorite episodes, and it's actually a little bit more what's it called? It actually is a little bit more tightened up. in terms of like story arc. Like story arc in season 5 is a little bit more tightened up. I appreciate how like like um it changes up things a little bit more in terms of the story arc, tone wise, and so like that's why I like it. Tone wise, the tone in season 4 is not as good as season 5, but I do like it a little bit more, like this much. Like that's how much, like this much. I like season 5 a little bit more than season 4, a little bit more than season 5. I do appreciate it a little bit more, and after I'm done season 5, like I'm watching season 5, I'll watch season 4 again. Eventually, I don't want to watch the entire show again, but because I don't want to see the problems, and I don't have time to watch over 300 episodes again. So there's that. But yeah, uh, I've been watching Supernatural since 2013, uh, and I hope this final season is actually really good. I really do, because the past few seasons have been pretty decent, even if they have been a little bit of a flat line. But yeah, I do appreciate me talking my ass. I do appreciate um, where the show has been in all these years for all of its faults. It's still a show just to watch, especially the first 5 seasons. If you like the show, just watch the first 5 seasons. Uh, stop at stop at season 5 if you want, or you can keep going and see how the quality fluctuates after that. But yeah, I've been talking my ass off for almost an hour, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the vlog. I'm gonna I have to break my fast in about 3 hours, so I can't drink. So I'm gonna rest my voice so I can do another one of these eventually. So until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you another time. So thank you.